Hi everyone. I'm going to do a video that's a little bit different, and that is just kind of a one topic video in general, and that is, what is the secret to getting a good job after graduating? And I have been doing a lot of videos on tech degrees. That's what I know the most about, but I do think this can be applied to a lot of different degrees. Now, before I go into what that big secret is, if you like this channel, please subscribe, and if you like this video, please give me a like. It really helps me out. Okay, so here it is. It's just hard work. And that means hard work in whatever it is that you're having to do to get that job. Now, in other videos, I've gone over steps that you need to go through to get a good job. You know, one of those is, getting good grades, getting your GPA up, and, that's not the biggest one. There's interviewing, doing a good interview. Some of us are more talented with that than others. You can also work on it and get better at it. There's doing internships, getting internships, doing personal projects. I have a long list that I've covered in other videos. But the real secret for making this work is hard work. That in your degree, you need to get that degree to get that job. So you're going to need to work hard to pass those classes and have a high GPA. For looking for jobs, for applying around, you're going to have to work hard to do that. You're going to have to think about it quite a bit. And hard work is the answer in general. You have to apply yourself to everything, which can be very difficult to do because, we're all people and we have things we're good at and that we're not good at, and we have things that we believe in and that we don't believe in. It's easy to get caught up in certain things where you're doing something and you really don't believe in this piece of the system. Now, that piece of the system hopefully is not the subject of your degree, although it could be. And if it is, I give the same advice here, although that's a more complicated question if I'm being honest with you. Beyond that, there's the whole rat race of getting a job, right? That is something that a lot of us think is not right. That's not how it should be, right? And we shouldn't be judged in interviews basically by how we answer some, quick questions that are thrown at us. If you're doing a technical degree, especially, like something with programming, you have to write out something on a whiteboard in front of a bunch of people, and you're given a time limit, and it's not at all like real life. You're not allowed to use Google, which is, you're always going to do that as a developer in real life. You can start thinking that way. And that is, something that I think we naturally tend to do, is we tend to see things that we consider to be unfair and we get upset about them. And that's a very natural human reaction. When we feel like we're treated unfairly, we want to complain about it. So the problem with that is complaining is not going to get you a job. There are certain times in life where complaining makes sense. One of those is if you you're using something from a company, like a service or a product, and they're not doing you well. At that point you've paid them, and it's in both of your best interests for you to express your complaint, hopefully in a civil manner if possible. But this is not one of those situations. And what you have to think about in these situations is, do the people I'm complaining to have something to gain by my complaints? So I've been browsing this subreddit called Lost Generation, which I believe is about my generation, millennials, where they're basically saying that life isn't fair, and baby boomers or older generations have had it easier than us, and they've given us bad advice and all that. So it's okay to complain, I will say that. There's nothing wrong with an outlet. But here's the thing about complaining, is that if the people you're complaining to don't have anything to gain by hearing your complaint, you're wasting your time and, your effort, basically. So if you're ever tempted, in something in the process, in the system, as I call it, into complaining, that you want to complain about it, just first stop and think, do the people I'm complaining about have anything to gain by hearing my complaint? So in the case of the subreddit Lost Generation, do the baby boomers have anything to gain by hearing my complaint? Well, no, they really don't. So you can complain into the wind all you want, but you're just wasting your time and energy. And that's time and energy you could be spending to make your life better, in which case you may not have to complain as much. So let's take this to something like interviewing, right? Or the whole thing about they want 3 years experience for a junior developer, something like that, that you need so much experience to get into the job. And you can't get job experience without getting into the job, right? So that's a very common one, and it's one I very much understand and very much, personally don't like. But do these employers have anything to gain by you complaining about that? Now, again, I get it. Complain about it with your friends and all that, that's fine, but you really don't want that to leach into your head, because eventually you'll start to think, this is not fair, I can't do this because it's not fair, this doesn't make any sense. And though that thought process is not a very helpful one when it comes to putting hard work into something. So instead, what I recommend is find reasons that you can do it. Find ways to make it work for you. So what does experience mean, right? Experience is written on the application. It doesn't really say what kind of experience. It may say work experience. If it does, well, then maybe go on to the next one or just apply anyway and see what they say. Honestly, it can't hurt to apply, and that's something that I kind of recommend that you do. Now, beyond that, without getting too far into applying for jobs, this is kind of one of those things that you're going to have to think your way through, because complaining isn't going to help you. So instead of complaining, you need to think of a way around it. Instead of complaining about the system, find a way to beat the system, because that is what you have to do if you want to be successful. You have to find a way to beat the system, or at least to use it to your advantage. And that's what a lot of people that have done that are very successful, what they've done is they've found a way to take this system that they see. If you're complaining about it, you've analyzed it. Apparently, you've thought about it. I mean, when you're upset about unfairness, you generally do put in the thought as to why is this unfair? Why is this bad? Instead of going down that route, put in a different thought process, which is, how can I beat this? Why is this happening, right? Why do these companies want these years of experience? Well, if you think about it, it's because they want to get the most qualified candidate they can. And if they disqualify people who read that and don't think they're good enough, well, they might be saving themselves some time. Because if you don't think you're good enough to do the job, well, they don't want to waste their time judging if you're wrong, So instead, have some confidence, go into it, and find applications that fit you, and tailor your resume to show you in the best possible light. Because you're playing a game here. Let's be honest. This is a game, but you have to play this game. You have to play the game, guys. Sorry. If we could change it, we would, but I think it's going to be a lot easier for you to play it and play it well than it's going to be to change it. And I think that's been true, over time. You're going to have a much easier time just finding a good way to play the game, because you can see that others have, right? It's not like it's impossible. There are other people your age, maybe younger, maybe older, that have made this work. If they can do it, you probably can too. So I'm not going to go into, well, how did they do it specifically? All you need to do is figure out how you can do it. So what you need to do in figuring out how you can do it is just think about what's going on. Well, in the case of the whole thing with requiring experience and all that, well, they are, this is a negotiation here. It's already starting right when you're reading the application. They're starting with, kind of a hard deal. We need you to be able to do this, this, and that. So what you need to do in selling yourself, obviously, is sell yourself. Put your best foot forward. Be honest, but at the same time, you may as well make yourself look good. Sell yourself the way you'd sell a product if you had the opportunity. Don't take the worst pictures you have of it. Take the best ones you have and Photoshop them a little bit, while still being honest. So this is the kind of thought process that will help you. That if you are thinking that way, and how can I win? How can I do well? This is what seeds hard work. Because there may be cases where maybe you actually don't have what they want, and maybe you can think of some things that you can do, to actually make yourself a better product. You know, actually work on some things, actually do some personal projects. And that's the kind of thing where, you know, hey, I can say this now. I've set up a MySQL server, or I have run a project under with a group under me or something like that. You know, I have again, I don't want to get too much into the just this one topic, because this is kind of a bigger topic, and that's kind of a hard work mentality, that it's very hard to do hard work when you feel like it's not fair. And so you have to get a little bit past that mentality and actually kind of accept the system, accept that, yes, it is a game. A lot of things in life are games, but you do have to play the game. And if you're going to play it, let's play it to win. Okay, hope you guys like this video. If you disagree with me, and if you want somewhere to complain, feel free to post something in the comments. I totally get it. You know, I've done my fair share of complaining. I just made sure that that wasn't my focus, was the complaint. My focus was the solution to my predicament. And I hope that you guys can find a way to have that same attitude. I would not be here if it weren't for the fact that I was able to adopt that attitude. It's not easy, and I still do my fair share of complaining today. So have a good night.